people? Do you have professional experience? 91.1 The Boss wants to interview you as a sponsorship promoter. Contact us today at 713-370-5051.
The program presented or submitted by members of our community and are a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect those of KNLY 91.1 FM and its affiliates.
Good morning, and God bless you. I am your host of today's Entrepreneur, and you are tuned in to KNLY 91.1 The Boss. And I'm always excited about the guests and the people that God allows us to cross paths and bring on this platform to aid in all that they've been entrusted to do. And so today I have with me Pastor Michael Sheets here in Houston, Texas, but we have some connections because he's been in my city, the ATL. And so, Pastor Sheets, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Pastor Michael Sheets, formerly of Atlanta, recently relocated back to Houston, Texas, and just glad to be here this morning. It's been a journey getting back to Houston, but it's been a worthy journey.
All right, so the first thing I want to bring out is how are you dealing with the transition as far as the heat goes? Because Atlanta and Houston had just different heat. And I tell people it can be very unkind here in Houston. So how are you adjusting in the transition altogether?
Just trying to remember back to the day when I would shower and get dressed and walk downstairs and go to my car and be full of sweat again. And so that has hit me full face. The humidity is something.
Now, today's Entrepreneur is about creating platforms and avenues by which businesses, people that have brands, products, services, goods, things that are good for the community. We bring that here. And you've worked in corporate America. You've actually owned several businesses, and you're implementing some new things here in Houston in the transition. But one of the things we want to highlight and talk about, because most people don't realize, being a pastor and running a ministry is still a business. And we take away from that aspect all because of what we don't understand. So how is it transitioning from corporate to now overseeing a corporation, more or less?
Well, Orlando, it started with me when I began to realize that God's desire for us is not just to be a part of a religion, but to be successful and to be effective here on earth. That's what we've been created to do, to be successful here. And so with that comes some transitioning and carrying over skill sets, because I believe for everyone that God has a purpose and a plan for them. But between your dream and your destiny, there's a dream job, and so we have to learn how to be successful here. So bringing that over, I've learned to carry some of those skills with me about just learning how to deal with customers and clients and how to build clientele. That's a part of being effective for the kingdom of heaven, because we've got to be effective at reaching people and connecting with people.
Having that influence, when we consider the word transition, most people we understand it as it relates to, or we apply it to life. Yeah. But transition is actual medical term that most people are not aware of. It's the period right before the woman is fully dilated, by which she's able to push. And so she has to wait, and that's that painful period. And I think that's what challenges a lot of people when it comes to moving into your destiny, knowing what you've been purposed and born and created to do, and going back to the word influence. That's what we're all called to have. And God uses us in different areas of life, different platforms, but also people don't know how to abandon one aspect of life to embrace another. And I tell people, if you're going to follow God, you got to know how to abandon, adjust, adapt, and have a spirit of acceptance. So it seems like you have the spirit of acceptance. You've already abandoned. You're making the adjustment, not just with the heat, but the overall transition. But being able to come in at Abundant Faith Baptist Church out in Humble and establishing a whole new structure Especially when we have, people that have already been in place and there's been a vision and then a new visionary come in, the changing of the guards. I tell people that people become fixated with change, and it challenges people. So how is that adjustment period for you?
It's been interesting, and it's been exciting, and part of that is because God has taken me on a journey personally where there's been change and transition has kind of been a running theme there. And so once you learn how to navigate that, and once you learn how to manage that for yourself, I think it helps you in then helping other people to understand that change is a necessary part for growth. If we're going to grow, we're going to have to change, and so we have to embrace that change and go and approach it with a positive perspective that when I get through this, it's going to be better, because God never sends us on that journey for it to be the same.
I've been in a series of teaching on Beyond the Sanctuary on Sundays, talking about right assignment, wrong assignments.
Yes.
Thinking and living outside of the box, knowing that God is bigger than our box. But when we talk about change, we experience it daily. For example, I remember when I had a head full of hair. I remember I didn't have the gray, and then we tried to alter those changes, not just in the natural, but even spiritually. That's a part of the process of growth. And then not just growth, when we consider change and the age factor. I tell people maturity, age doesn't define maturity.
Right.
Abraham was way past, up in 99, and God is telling him to walk thou before me and be thou perfect. And so that Greek teleox means to be mature, and we have to mature in business, mature in our overall relationships. And that's just it. And so how are you implementing the new vision at Abundant Faith? And for someone who's never visited your place of worship, what would be the thing that you would say that would be inviting this to whomever is listening, that says, hey, this is a safe place, but this is a place by which you can be developed and grow?
At Abundant Faith, we've established a culture where we understand that we are an equipping center for God's people. Our job is to equip saints, equip believers to possess the promises that God has made to all of us. But we have to get our minds right. We have to get our skill set together. We have to be prepared to be successful in order to do that. And so that's what we do. We equip people to be successful.
I tell people God meets you where you are to bring you to the place that He's already purposed. And we had a chance to talk about purpose. But also using the word equip. I have those 4 E's that we talked about. You know, whether you are a Christian or not, you're in leadership, you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, from whatever platform that you're being utilized on or in or season. We have to know how to be, we have to know how to empower others, encourage others, not only equip others, but be effective. And that's the key thing, is being effective. And so you being in a position to bring people in, discipling them in not just the things of God, because when people hear church, they think that's all that's being discussed. We're going to just talk about God. It's just a whole bunch of holy rollers. But we deal with every aspect, mind, body, and spirit. We deal with the overall structure by which we literally empower others to pursue as well as possess the promises of God. And so coming in and being in this position or on this platform, having the right people delegated or in position to help you fulfill your task, how vital is that for you?
That's essential. What I've discovered is that if you have God with you, you don't need a whole lot of people, but you do need the right people. And having the right people around you is critical. I think it starts with first being the right person yourself, because you have to be able to allow people who have skills and talent sets that are different than yours, although valuable but different, to be to operate at their full extent of their capacity to operate. And so when you can be comfortable with people who have other sets that you don't have, and be comfortable with the person that has a different perspective that you don't have, and understand how to incorporate that into the vision, that's part of the victory there.
Not silencing the voices of those who have been called to help. I think I'm quick to say what I do well, what I don't do well.
Exactly.
I don't have it all, and I understand in order to be effective here, for example, I have to have Carlos and Ivan. Right. They actually are not just the text, but Carlos is so much here at the station, and everybody plays their role, even, the sales team, and we all make up a wonderful team by which we're able to provide the services here for not just your ministry, but for every business owner, whoever has a brand or a product. However we can be utilized, that's what we do. But we try to also identify with, I do this well, I don't do this well, and we all don't do everything well. And so it's a humbling thing to hear you say that you recognize your skill set, you recognize what you're graced to do, and you're open to allow someone to help you along the journey, because it's important. You have some things coming up, speaking of those who are called to help you. I want to make mention of this health fair that you have coming on August 10th. It's on a Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. But I want you to be able to share some of the things that you'll be providing, and how people can come out and participate and be a part of it.
Yes, that health fair is important to us as a part of our vision at Abundant Faith, because we understand that if we're going to be what God has called us to be, we have to be healthy. We have to be able to operate in the capacity of having a healthy, strong body. And so we're going to have some people out to help us, professionals with diabetes screening, and understanding what it means to effectively live not only with it, but how you can maybe reverse that. We've got people out just going to check blood pressure. Women's health issues will be addressed at the health fair, because here's the thing: if we're going to do what God has called us to do, we have to have these bodies, the containers that we're in right now, healthy and able to produce, so that we can be effective.
Amen. You got fresh produce market. You got some things on here that most people are not. Hey, this is not the normal health fair back to school. So you're about the whole man, and that's what I see here. And then you're also incorporating back to school backpacks and things of that nature. So it's a wonderful opportunity that if you are going to be in the Humble area or not, remember August 10th, Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Go out, get checked. There's going to be a lot of information, a lot of resources available. Outside of this here, tell them about your Sunday services and what time they start, what they can expect when they come and visit.
Orlando, we have a dynamic worship event. We have a more contemporary worship service. It is engaging. We don't invite people to come and sit and observe. We invite you to come and be a participant in the worship event. We start promptly at 10 a.m. We're going to have a engaging worship event, and then a strong message from God, a biblical-centered message from God. And then we're going to get you out of there at 11:30, because we understand that our assignment is not in the four walls of the church. Our assignment is outside those four walls and wherever your circles of influence are. So we want to get you in, have an engaging worship event, equip you, and then send you forth to do what God has called you to do.
Getting people pregnant with the vision, getting people pregnant with what it is that you feel God is leading you to do is key. And we know about the Korahs and the Judases and all those people that challenged the work that God was trying to establish. I tell people, when it comes to opposition is God's opportunity. So I want to encourage you there. But when God surrounds you with the foundation that you have in place, and I was able to connect with you by way of a good friend of mine, Melvin Hughes, who's done so much for the city of Houston, and I know his commitment to ministry altogether. So when he called me and said, hey, you got to meet my pastor. You got to, he's sharp. He began, and that's what we need, is when people identify with good services, who we are, how we can help. We speak well of others. We literally come together as a community and see how we can solve the problem, because that's why we're here. We're here to solve other people's problems. We were born with other people in mind. So what is next outside the health fair, Sunday worship? Do you have midweek?
We do have midweek service. It's on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. We are actually about to launch a new series on August the 17th. We're going to have Brunch with the King. Every Saturday morning at 10 a.m., we're going to have a specific exegetical Bible study talking about what it means to be a citizen of God's kingdom. You'll be able to come out and have some breakfast brunch with us while we dig into the Word and figure out what it means to be a citizen of God's kingdom.
To hear you say that, you can get people to, come together. They'll get around food.
Oh, yeah.
That's how we see the church being started in Acts 2. They were breaking bread from house to house. They had all things in common. I used to implement, and I still do from time to time, break bread services, just because we have to know how to create unique ways to convey messages, to establish business, to to not only brand our product or our services or goods, but we have to be able to get the word out. And you're using unique ways. So I applaud you for the uniqueness of what you're establishing and creating, especially when we talk about Baptist. We know the traditional side of it, and the what I call box thinking, and that doesn't minimize people. What it does say is that we can grab hold of things traditionally, and we know it can make the word of God of no effect. But God is not about denominational structures. He's literally about relationships and not religion. And so I applaud you coming in from and you're originally from Texas.
Originally from Texas.
Bryan College Station.
College Station, Texas. Grew up there. Journeyed to Houston after graduation. Got married and moved to Atlanta. And been there for 25 years.
Wow. When the assignment is, or when God has graced you to do a particular thing, it's not just limited to not just a building. It's not limited to a location. It's just you're that vehicle, and you're talking about being healthy and being able to really get out. And so when you have a business owners, utilize the people that God places in your circumference. Deposit things into them, but also allow them to have a voice, to have a say-so, because that's what it's about. It's about working together, networking, and building those relationships so that at the end of the day, Dr. Vargas would say, the boss is not the radio station, the boss is the one that created us all. And so we believe in boss living, boss life, but we believe also in aiding others so that they can carry out their dreams and their destiny. So I really thank you for coming and being a part and sharing. How can they follow you all on Facebook, Instagram, any information that you may have?
Orlando, we can be followed on Facebook at More Abundant Faith, moreabundantfaith.org. moreabundantfaith.org. It'll tie you into our Facebook page. Also, our website address on the World Wide Web is moreabundantfaith.org, and you can follow us there. You'll find at the website connections to our YouTube page and other social media lines of connection there.
I'm going to be there, Lord's willing, Sunday. So if you're watching, you're listening, I'm going to come, and we're going to come and be a part. But we want to make sure that you all get all this general information. Wonderful meeting you, Pastor Sheets. Abundant Faith Baptist Church. If you're looking for a great place to worship, here it is. Tuesday, enjoy. Make it a great week. Love you. God bless you.